Okay, this is part 2 of the notes for today. We did this stuff yesterday and we talked about how those things worked, and I did multiple examples of this on the sheet that was on the previous video. So I'm just flipping it to the other side of this. Again, this is the 10-3 assignment. We are on the other side on example 2, and we're going to do a few of these problems. We are not going to do this, and I'm not going to assign that on the homework today either. We'll get to that later. But this is where we got to square both sides. Now, we said yesterday that the opposite of square root is to square it. Those two cancel, I get x. So to get rid of a square root again, I just square both sides. And if there's nothing down the outside to add or subtract, and I'm not trying to do that to you, even on the other assignments, if there's maybe a square root and then something over here without a square root, maybe I'll give you something to add. But if it's just square roots on both sides, well, then we're going to just square both sides like this. Because squares and square roots cancel, and I get x plus 4. Squares and square roots cancel, and on this side I get 2x minus 1. There's an equal sign between them. And then it's just a matter of how do you move the x's to one side and the numbers to the other side. So I might put a 1 here just so I see that. And I might minus 1x to both sides. I mean, you could minus 4 instead, or minus 2x, or plus 1. Whatever one you like to do first. I just like to make my x's positive. So I take the less one away. I get 4 equals, because those cancel. 2 minus 1 is just 1x minus 1. I've got x by itself, so now I got to bring the number to the other side, plus 1 to both sides, so these cancel. And again, when I'm doing this, I should always get something on one side and another thing on the other side to cancel. Here I get 5 equals 1x, and of course the last step is just to divide to get x equals 5. Excuse me. Then we have to plug it back in. This is the square root of 5 plus 4, which is 9. This is the square root of 2 times 5, because again, I'm plugging in 5 here and right here, so 5 plus 4 is how I got 9. I plug 5 in here. 2 times 5 is 10. Minus 1 is 9. And the square root of 9 equals the square root of 9, whether you want to call it 3 or not. Okay? So it checks. There's my solution. Okay? Again, we're not going to do this one today. We're going to come down here. It's another example just like this. What I'd like you to do is just pause the video and try this one on your own. Do exactly the same step as I did above. So pause it right now and then unpause it when you're done to kind of check how you did. All right, so again, what we would do is we would square both sides first. These cancel. 3x plus 4 equals. These cancel. X plus 6. And again, I'm going to move x to one side and numbers to the other side. And it doesn't matter if I start with x on this side or that side. I like, again, to have a positive x. So I'm going to take this 1x away from both sides. Those will cancel. I get 2x. Everything else comes down. I got x on one side. I want to move the numbers to the other side. Right? This should not be foreign to you. We've been doing this all year. Okay? And then, of course, the last step is to divide. And I get x equals 1. Okay? Let's go check that. Square root of 3 times 1 plus 4 equals the square root of 1 plus 6. Of course, on that side, I just get square root of 7. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't matter because 3 times 1 is 3 plus 4 is 7. And no matter what, they're going to be equal to each other. So that is my answer. Okay? So, with that being said, let's look at maybe a few things from the homework, okay, because that's it. That's all the notes we're going to do on this, okay? So maybe let's take a look at a few problems from this assignment. Like, for instance, C, you're just not going to do. You can cross that one out right away, okay? On D, okay, just a second. I want to make sure I just said that all right. Yeah, C we're not doing. Okay, on D, again, this is just like what we just did, right? We're going to square both sides, okay? I'm going to cancel those out to get 2x minus 5. I'm going to cancel those out to get equals 5x minus 20. Okay? Then, sorry, I'm just making sure that I'm doing exactly what I want to do here. I want to minus the 2x on both sides. So I'm always getting rid of that x first. I get 3x minus 20. I'm going to then add 20 to both sides. Again, I need something to cancel on both sides. This negative 5 plus 20 is a positive 15. And then, of course, divide to get x equals 5. I'm going to go back and plug that in. This is 2 times 5 is 10 minus 5 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25 minus that is 5. And, yeah, those equal each other. So my answer is x equals 5. Okay? And then I wanted to also check out. So today you're only going to do problem 1, which is all these other problems through H, right? We're not going to do number 2. I'm okay with you guys scratching that out, okay? Or 3, or 4, because we did all that stuff yesterday, but today I definitely want you to do number 5 as well, okay? So, let's maybe just look at like one of these problems to kind of remind you how this goes. I'm going to look at F, okay? And what I want you to see is, and this will relate to all the rest of these, is stuff outside can get multiplied with stuff outside, stuff inside can get multiplied with stuff inside, but not vice versa. So when I go this times this, I'm foiling this out. 3 times 3 is 9, and square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. When I go this times this, I'm going to go 1 times 3, which is 3, and then square root of 2 comes along because there's nothing to multiply it by. When I do these, I'm going to go negative 1 times 3 square root of 2 is negative 3, because 1 times 3, square root of 2. And then the last thing here is negative 1 times positive 1, which is negative 1. Okay? And maybe put a couple of dots in there. It's a smiley face. Okay, so what you'll see first of all is these two cancel. Right, that's pretty simple. 3 of these minus 3 of these, they cancel each other out. That's 0. 9 times the square root of 4 is 9 times 2. I still got this minus 1 at the end. And 18 minus 1 is, of course, 17. They're not all going to work out that pretty, okay? Especially in problems like this and this, where you're going to get a square root in your answer. But when you're foiling things with a positive, negative, it usually will work out that way. Kind of helps you out with E, okay? All right, so your homework is number 1, A through H, okay? And then also number 5, A through, I guess, E, because we did F already, okay? Do your thing today. This is about 11 minutes worth of video to help you kind of get going on this. Use the rest of your class time wisely, please. Work through this assignment.